Welcome to another episode of libGDX-Graph devlog. In this episode, I'll show you how to add a depth of field effect to your rendering pipeline. Also, I'll try to explain what actually depth of field is. So whenever you're watching a movie, you probably notice that camera usually focuses on some kind of distance. So if objects are too close to the camera or too far away from the camera are becoming blurry. And that's the effect of the depth of field that we can achieve using a post-processor here. So I'll start off with this kind of scene where I have this starship in the middle of the screen and I can see every detail of it regardless how close or how far it is from the camera. So how we add this effect is basically by adding a post-processing here, depth of field box, and this box, as you can see, has quite a few different things you can modify. So first of all, this maximum blur. So let's go for something higher to just demonstrate this. And there's this checkbox. I'll show the impact of this checkbox. So what we have to provide to the depth of field post-processor is the camera, as well as the focus distance, and optionally the near and far distance blur. So let's first define the near and far distance blur. Be the same. I'll set it to say 80, and yes, this value can be larger than the max blur. It's just that whenever it would go above this value, the maximum will be used, and this is useful to configure how fast the blur is going to be applied and the object is out of the focus range of the camera. So how I'm going to be using the focus distance here is I'll add two floats in here. One of them will be called focus distance, which is basically distance from camera at which objects are in focus, and then focus range, which will be the values. So focus distance, let's say, going to be 0.5, and the focus range. So if my focus range will be 0.1, then everything between 0.4 and 0.6, so plus minus the focus range from the focus distance, will be in range, in focus. So in here I have to now, because this focus distance range has to be a vector 2, which is contains a minimum and a maximum, the x and y components, I have to create it. I have to merge the value into a vector 2 here. So the values are going to be focus distance minus focus range and focus distance plus focus range. So let's bring those two here in. And I have to provide two math operations here. Arithmetic is going to be add and subtract. And subtract going to be at the top because it's going to be the minimum. So focus distance minus range going into the x component, and focus distance plus focus range goes into the y component. So let's group those together just to know what's going on here. And we're going to say this is a focus range calculation. Okay, so let's save it and reload the scene. And immediately we're seeing that we have these pixels in the middle, and this middle distance are in focus, and if everything closer to camera and everything further away from the camera is blurry. And as I said, we have this focus range, which expands the range of the focused area from the range that is focus distance that is defined here. And also I can move the focus distance, so only things close to the camera are in focus, and as I go further away, they're less in focus, and I can move the focus back to have this part in focus or this part in focus, and everything else is blurry. So the problem with this approach is that this only is visible mostly in this artificial environment where I have just basically black background and just running one model. If you had a complete scene with everything, it wouldn't be, the edges of this model would not be so jarring. But this is because, as I showed you before, there is the setting of blur background. So at the moment the background is not blurred, that's why you're seeing this kind of weird looking, even though it's blurry, it's very rectangular, and there's like straight lines here. But if I enable blur background, save it, reload the shader, you are seeing that it already looks much better. The only problem is that now the object looks like it has a halo. That's because the background is being blurred with the pixels from the object itself. Unfortunately, there's no good way to fix it. You have to choose one or the other. I'm giving you a choice. As I said, it's going to look better if it's going to be an actual scene with more objects in it at different distances. And then the whole problem is not going to be as visible. But yeah, you can just switch whatever you prefer, kind of look you like and prefer in your game. And yeah, so I hope you find this useful. Please consider subscribing and like the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.